All right. Hello. My name is Werner Bekker. That's a very Afrikaans way of pronouncing it. If you're from abroad, I guess Werner Bekker is an easier way of hearing the name and saying it, possibly. I come from South Africa, originally from a small town called Cullinan, where the largest diamond in the world was discovered. I currently live in beautiful Cape Town, in a suburb called Gardens, which is part of the City Bowl. I love this city. I think I want to start out with that. I love South Africa. I love my country. And I'm so excited to see a bit more of the rest of the world as well. The date that I'm recording this on is the 30th of October 2024. And Stan reached out to me a few days ago, and it's just awesome to be reached out to and to be able to talk about my music a little bit. My background is it has always been music. I studied music. I grew up in a family that was full of music and art in general. My father was a musician for a good 6 or 7 years professionally when I was a small boy, and I grew up going to lots of different venues and lots of different festivals, and toured my own country extensively from a young age with my family. My mother was a painter and visual artist in general. She loves everything from painting to drawing to sculpting, and so much more. And so as a kid, I was always surrounded by art and making art, and currently I still believe that is why I do what I do, because I fell in love with creating art as a form of expressing your emotions. My family can be quite emotional and passionate, and I love that. I think it's very valuable, especially in this modern day and age where we tend to move further away from art at times, or from expressing ourselves freely. I think there's a great need for people to be able to feel. So many of us deny ourselves from feeling way too often. So how my upbringing impacts the way that I view the world, I think I sort of more or less covered it a little bit now, but I think the world is a beautiful place. There's also a lot wrong with this world that we live in, and we are moving further away from where we come. At least that's my perception. And I feel like the way I was brought up, with art all around me and people expressing themselves, I sort of want to hold on to that and share with other people, not only through my art but through my life. I would love to meet as many people as I possibly can, and share experiences and thoughts with these people, and make sure that they feel safe around me to express themselves in the same way. So I think my art is definitely impacted by the way that I grew up, as I mentioned a little bit already. My family toured around a lot, and being artists, money was not always something that we had a lot of. But as I mentioned as well, we had a lot of love and passion for life. And I feel like in my work mainly revolves around love relationships, not only romantically, but with among friends, among family members, and expressing how I feel about life is extremely important to me. And I hope that my art can help other people work through past traumas that they might have, or help them feel something that they might have forgotten how to feel. Um, my childhood was incredible, not only because I got to see a lot of my beautiful country, but my parents were extremely kind to those around them, to each other, to us, and I think I was probably told that I was loved about 10 to 15 times a day by my parents, and I couldn't ask for a better childhood. It was exciting, exhilarating, scary at times because of the lack of money, but I got to see what life was truly about, at least in my perception or from my perspective, and money is not my focus. I think the older I get, the more I have to make peace with that, and there's a part of me that sometimes gets very stressed about finances, and I'm very frugal so that I don't end up struggling. But I also realize that that is not the goal of my existence, and that connection ultimately is the most important thing for me. And I hope that many other people can reach that conclusion as well within their lives, hopefully through art like mine or other artists who really show us that life is about connecting with each other and allowing space and freedom for one another to be open. My biggest influences, I have a few. I grew up with a lot of Jack Johnson, a lot of Damien Rice, amongst others. My father is a big Jacques Brel fan. There are some South African influences that people might not know, but I'll name a few. The one band is called Klopjag. And Koos du Plessis is also one of my dad's favorite artists, and I wish I could see him at least once in my life. In my later life, currently right now, a few years ago maybe, I discovered Ben Howard, and he is one of my favorite artists. I love the way that his music has evolved over time, coming from like a more folky sort of background and then moving into this very ethereal sound. I think that's so important for an artist to keep evolving. I think oftentimes you can get stuck in something that works, and that's tempting, but the evolution of art is so important because we as humans don't stay the same. We continually evolve into new parts of ourselves and change, and the core will remain the same, but our ideas might change over a lifetime. And just as our ideas change, I think our art should be allowed to change as well. I know it's sometimes hard for fans when they listen to music, a new album by an artist that sounds almost completely different from the earlier stuff. Sometimes hard to make peace with that, but I myself have found that when I listen to artists who evolve. But I think it's gorgeous because it's necessary to evolve. Currently, I am focusing on writing and producing an album with my producer Dean Salant. We met about 1.5 years ago and have been working together ever since. I feel like he's probably my musical soulmate. Excuse me for saying that, Dean. I hope it doesn't make you uncomfortable. Yeah, we just get along so well. We're not only good when working together, but we're good friends now as well. And we recorded an EP together last year called Love the Texture, Hate the Taste. And it deals with a lot of interesting intuition and emotions I had about a past relationship. The album that I'm writing right now focuses on the end of that relationship and the aftermath of that relationship and the current journey that I'm on. Now being alone again after being in a relationship for 8 years. I met this person when I was 22 years old. Now I'm 29. and it's almost like being a young adult again, but in a slightly older adult's body. And trying to navigate that sometimes gets a little bit difficult because it's the first time I've been alone since I basically moved out of my house, my parents' house. I also have a tour in Europe, in Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and the Netherlands next year, 2025, in May, which I'm very excited for. It's the first time that I'm going abroad with my music. I'm doing it with a company called Rola, and they have been absolutely amazing to work with. I can't wait to see a bit more of Europe. I have been there before, but a very long time ago, probably 10 plus years ago. And so I'm so excited to return to Europe, and this time to actually showcase some of my art and connect with people who do enjoy my sort of music. I would give myself, so if I had to give myself, my younger self, advice, I would say keep doing what you do. Stop doubting yourself and try to love yourself as soon as possible. It's not always easy. We have to learn to get to know ourselves, I think. And I especially had some trouble with that when I was younger. I'm getting to a point now where I am accepting who I am a bit more. I'm a pretty scrawny, skinny guy, and that's always been a little bit of a struggle for me. Even when I eat a lot, my metabolism is just extremely fast, and so I don't gain weight easily. So on the physical spectrum, I think that's something that I've started to make peace with now in my life. On an emotional side, I think for a long time I neglected my mental health, or thought that I could just ignore it and just write songs, and that would be my only therapy. But I would say to myself as well, go to a therapist early. Even if you don't have mental health issues, I think it's good to go speak to someone every now and then and just clear your head a little bit, and try and understand where your thoughts and the thought patterns originate from, and understand your past traumas, understand your goals in life, your future, how you want to structure, how you perceive life, because you can control how you perceive life, and I think we often forget that. So how I prepare and record a track, I think I write very intuitively, so I don't often enter into the writing process with a concrete idea. Many times I will just play around on an instrument until I find something that moves me, and as soon as I feel moved, the lyrics sort of want to come out. It's like they want to present themselves. So it's a little bit hard for me to talk about that sometimes, because there's no set way for me to write a song. I do have a very set structure that my brain likes to write songs in, which is quite interesting, but I find that I can't really put my finger on exactly how the process works. It's more of a let it come when it comes sort of situation, you know. But that being said, I try to write as often as I can so that I keep working that muscle. I record in my own little home studio, which is where I'm sitting now. It's literally in my lounge in my small flat in Cape Town. And then Dean Salant, the producer I was talking about, will come to my place. We will flesh out the songs and produce them a little bit more. Add loads of instruments. We like being experimental, sitting down, creating little sounds in the flat, recording little things with microphones, finding new techniques to make a song sound nicely textured and emotive. And then transferring these to a live performance is always interesting and fun. I think you so often write a song and want to produce it as often as quickly as possible, and oftentimes you'll produce it and it'll become this big thing. And then as a solo performer, I sometimes perform with band, but very often just by myself. Creating that into a live performance is its own artwork as well. I try to sit down with the songs and practice them as much as possible, but not over practice them, so that there's still some sort of a novel experience every time you see the song. I try to live in that moment. and express myself and feel as many of those emotions as honestly as I can on stage, so that the song is never the same and always has something new to offer for an audience. So what's the best reaction someone has had to my music? I think with my music, I've had many great reactions. I'm very fortunate. Many times people will tell you that they like your music, and that's awesome. It's sometimes hard to take compliments as an artist, I think, because you're sharing part of your soul most of the time. It turns into this thing where you get a little bit shy when people say they like your music. My favorite reaction I've ever had was, I was about 24, 25 years old, and I played a small festival in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. And this older lady, she was probably in her 60s or so, she came up to me and she's like, "I've seen people like you before." And at first I thought, well, that's not very nice to say. I feel like I'm quite unique. And then she said, "No, not at all, that's not what I mean." She said, "Please don't stop." And I said, I can't imagine ever stopping. And she said, "That's what I meant, is I've seen people like you before, and they're so good, and because this industry is so tough, they stop doing what they're good at, and they stop doing what they love, and instead get a job that will give them security." I mean, for everyone, it's a different journey. I get that, but I told her, I don't think quitting is in my genes. I grew up with art all around me, and I will never stop, and that experience really stays with me to this day. Big love to that lady, whoever you are. Think about you fairly often. Okay, so what do I hope people take from my music? I think I mentioned this already, but I hope for people to feel when they listen to my music. I'm a firm believer that feeling is so underrated, and people push away their feelings so often because this current life that we live in demands us to put our emotions aside and focus on getting stuff done, which is valuable, and everyone needs to do that from time to time. But I find that so many people are getting disconnected from their emotions, and if my work can make people feel, and that can come in the form of laughter, dancing, sitting introspectively thinking, crying, whatever it may be, if I have achieved that for one person in an audience when I do a show, then I feel like I've done my job right. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you so much for this awesome opportunity. It's been wonderful telling you a little bit more about myself and about my music. I hope you could take something away from it, and sending you all lots of love, big hugs, and hope to see you at a show soon.